against their will. So that's the point I made in the video. We need to win that debate first, and then we can talk about the science and the side effects of the vaccine. But for them to immediately seize upon that and try to establish that precedent is the biggest threat, in my view.
We could see that this was coming back when there was the Ebola concerns, because we had some pharmaceutical developed drugs that they were working on. And there was a lot of talk at the time about how, well, you know, if this gets out of control, we're going to have these untested pharmaceutical drugs or vaccines or something that we're going to use to treat people. We're not going to have time to test them. So we're going to have to mandate this in the public's interest. We're going to have to mandate that people get this, even though we haven't tested it. And so what they're doing now, I think, Paul, is they're using this measles situation. They're trumping it up into something that is all out of proportion to the actual risk, because they're trying to set an established precedent here where they can force us to take untested drugs with a medical tyranny. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Paul Joseph Watson. We're going to talk about another science issue, and that is global warming. We'll be right back.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor just won't quit.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. The month of February is all about Valentine's Day. Big heart-shaped boxes filled with delicious candy. What if we, the Patriots, hijacked Valentine's Day and instead made it about human liberty and individual empowerment? I'm all about human potential. I'm all about the individual being empowered. The establishment is the opposite. That's why they spike our water with fluoride and GMO, estrogen mimickers, and the rest of the garbage. InfoWars is striking back in the month of February with Human Empowerment Month. How we can come together and win the human race. And to celebrate the kickoff of Human Empowerment Month, we're slashing prices on InfoWarsLife.com products like Super Male and Super Female Vitality. The sale is only running for the month, 20% off, and there's a lot of other powerful specials at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsLife.com, celebrating human potential in the month of February. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to find this special and many others in the month of February. Again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139.
What disaster is so powerful, it unleashes a chain of mass pandemics, economic meltdowns, and violent food riots, all at the same time? NASA has already set the countdown timer, and right now the 21st century apocalypse is less than 13 months away. Former CIA Director James Woolsey says 2/3 of U.S. population could perish. In a matter of seconds, the world as we know it will cease to exist. The world's economy will be wiped out. Mass riots will follow. Ancient diseases will reemerge. How will you shield yourself and your loved ones from this upcoming apocalypse? Go to darkestdays.info to find out proven methods of protecting yourself, your loved ones, and even your entire community when this worst-case scenario unravels. That's DARKESTDAYS.info. darkestdays.info. Go there before this life-saving information becomes unavailable to the large public. Go to darkestdays.info now.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today, and joining me from the UK is Paul Joseph Watson. Now, there's a story that's at the top of the Drudge Report, several links about people questioning the readjustment of temperatures to show a warming trend. This is something that's been going on for quite a while. We had ClimateGate back in 2009 and after, where they leaked 1,000 emails in the first ClimateGate. We also had 5,000 emails later leaked. And this is something, Paul, that started in the UK. This was predominantly the emails from East Anglia University, I believe, if I remember correctly, the climate research unit there. And, of course, there was a lot of back and forth about the data not matching their models. How could they, quote, hide the decline? It looks like they found a way to do it very easily. We've got a report out of Fox News that says, a report released earlier this week by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency, NOAA, said this was the warmest year ever in the nation in 2012, and yet Roy Spencer, a climatologist at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, is not buying it. He says 2012 wasn't necessarily warmer than it was back in the 1930s. NOAA has made so many adjustments to the data, it's ridiculous. And another person, Steve Goddard, said the adjusted data is meaningless garbage. It bears no resemblance to the thermometer data that it started out as. Every time NOAA makes adjustments, they make recent years warmer. I'm very suspicious, especially for how warm they have made 2012. Paul, what's your take?
Well, they came out and said that 2014 was the hottest year ever, all these big scientific bodies, NOAA, NASA, etc. But they were using the temperature data from the surface measurement models, when in fact, if you take the temperature data from the satellite measurements, it shows that the 18-year, quote, pause in global warming was maintained in 2014. It's known that the satellite data is more accurate than the ground data. And even with the ground data, if you accept that as fact, the margin of error in which it could have been wrong was higher than the gauge they said that it, signified that 2014 was the hottest year ever. So that was basically debunked. Now this has come out, which is even bigger. And as he said, of course, ClimateGate, it came out that with the hacked emails that these top climate bodies, including the one in East Anglia, which is one of the 3 biggest in the world, they were sending emails to each other expressing the need to, quote, hide the decline in global temperatures. The global warming alarmists came back and said, well, why would they need to hide the decline when the raw data proves that global warming has been a trend throughout the past 20 years? This, I believe the first email was from 99. Well, now it's come out that a blogger investigated the raw data initially from Paraguay, from this surface temperature measurement. Then he went and looked at one in the Arctic, Canada, and Siberia. And in each case, and this is in the Telegraph, it's top of Drudge, we've also got it on InfoWars, they added at least 1 degree to the raw data in each one of these separate ground surface temperature measurements.
Why not?
So that proves that they've deliberately amended and adjusted these figures to fit with their narrative of global warming increasing over the past 20 years, when in fact the satellite data shows that it's stable, that there has been no global warming over the past 20 years. So again, they've been caught completely red-handed. There are now climatologists saying that these people should be put in jail. Other people who fake scientific data get put in jail routinely. And now we see this, and we're going to see a massive cover-up to try and explain this away from the climate change lobby.
Well, of course, there's huge consequences involved in this because they want to use this to establish a global taxation regime. And they also want to essentially replace the central banks and their paper currency. They want to replace that with a system where we not only have to pay some private corporation every time they print paper money, we have to pay some private corporation every time we do anything that involves using any energy or releasing any natural gases like CO2 or methane. So that's something that essentially could be used to shut down everybody. I mean, if every time your pet dog breaks wind, you got to send a check to Al Gore. I mean, that is a recipe for complete control of the economy from a global perspective. They need to have something, Paul, that they can enact globally to take money from us on a global scale to fund a global government. We should all be very skeptical of how this is being used, and we should all be very skeptical of how they have fought tooth and nail to hide these emails. I mean, Michael Mann in the University of Virginia was also involved in these East Anglia emails, and not only in East Anglia, but also in the University of Virginia, they have fought to keep all this stuff hidden because they don't want us to see their emails. They don't want us to see the raw data that they base their conclusions on. They're supposed to be able to go in, and we're just to trust them because they work for the government or because they have a degree in science. We should just listen to them and shut up. They shouldn't have to show anything or prove anything to us. And if we say otherwise, we're just ignorant deniers.
Deniers, yeah. Again, linking us with Holocaust deniers. Mm-hmm. And that, again, illustrates how desperate they are to enforce this narrative, because I'm not a scientist. You can debate the science again, but just look at the way they've enforced this narrative. Last week on the show, we played the ad, which is running on CNN, with Julia Roberts as the voice of Mother Nature, saying, "I've starved greater species than you."
Yeah.
That ties right back to the Club of Rome, the first global revolution, when they said that they would sell global warming by characterizing humanity as the enemy. That is exemplified in that ad perfectly. And then we had things like the 2010 1010 Global campaign, which was an organization backed by huge corporations, government funded partly. My tax money went to pay for this, where they depicted school children who refused to lower their carbon footprint being violently exploded in the classroom. Yeah. They later had to apologize and remove that video. But again, it illustrated this authoritarian bullying campaign where people are shamed and called deniers, linked with Holocaust deniers, and shamed into believing this narrative, not based on any scientific argument, which they want to shut down and say the debate is over, completely flying in the face of the very fundamental nature of science, which is that it's, an evolving process. We're always updating our knowledge. And they want to enforce this narrative and say, if you don't agree with it, if you don't lower your carbon footprint, if you don't buy the propaganda, then you're on a par with a Holocaust denier. And maybe you should even be killed. There are top environmentalists who say that people should be put in camps and enslaved in an eco-green police state.
Very similar to what they're saying about people who want to have informed consent about vaccines. I mean, we look at what's going on with this climate information. As you pointed out, if they're looking at the temperature from space, that's a very different way to measure the temperature than if you collect it on the surface. Because if you move it around, I mean, anybody that's driven around and looked at the temperature gauges on their car routinely back in North Carolina, I would see a 3 to 4 degree difference between where I lived in the woods and going back to the city, and it wasn't even a large city. If you want to put a thermometer on an airplane tarmac, you're going to get a much higher temperature reading. And of course, they can fudge the data that way, but as they pointed out today in these recently released figures from this blogger who went back and looked at some of the data, they just add a degree here, add a degree there. If they won't show you the data and they tell you you've got to listen to them because they're an authority, that should raise red flags. Going to be right back with Paul. We're going to talk about something creepy from Samsung. They're basically channeling 1984. Stay with us.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet.